insightful and exciting episode of Me and My Health Up. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher, a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Robb Evans. Robb is a renowned health coach who has transformed countless lives with his unique approach to wellness. In this episode, we're going to delve into a topic that many of us struggle with: finding our inner drive to achieve our health goals. Robb will share his insights and strategies to help us tap into our motivation and make lasting changes. So whether you're just starting your health journey or looking for that extra push to help you achieve your health goals, this episode is for you. Let's dive in and start the journey to a happier, healthier you. Welcome on the Me and My Health Up podcast. How are you, Robb Evans?
I am doing well, thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here.
It's so great to have you on, and I'm really keen to talk about health transformation and health strategist as to what you do. But probably best to get that subject covered is me asking you how you've arrived at being a transformational coach and health strategist.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my professional background is I started off being a chartered accountant, and I studied I went to uni I finished in 1989. I signed up for a graduate program with Coops and Livebrand in 1990. I started there, and from that point on, I had a big shift from country Victoria to Melbourne, and I started down that pathway of just becoming a chartered accountant. And I guess I struggled with finding a career path when I was younger, and I thought, well, I was good with numbers, and I just went down that path. I was in various roles for 19 years in corporate and had some really great, I think when you're in corporate, you just want to consistently move up the ladder. And I did that with some great success. And then I got to that stage in about year 17, and I said, you know what, I enjoy what I do, but I don't love it. And I was really looking for something that I really loved and could get my teeth into. And I would come across somebody from time to time and say, I love what I do. But man, how good would that be? And it was normally, though, in the context of sports people saying, oh, I love playing football or whatever. And, they've found a career path that way. And I remember one day I was just sitting in my gym at home, and I was thinking about what could I do for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I've been training since 1988. And it's like, why don't I do this? And kind of at the time, so this is back in 2007 when I had this premonition. And the gym scene was very different back then to what it is now. And I wanted to have a profound difference to what was happening in the health and fitness industry, because it's not a great industry. It's too easy to get into. You can get in with pretty much no qualifications or very low, easy to get qualifications. And it's normally young people without much life experience, and they think because they look good and they like sport that they're going to be good at it. And I thought, you know what, I can bring a level of professionalism and maturity to the industry that really, really needs, and separate myself from everybody else. So in 2007, I didn't want to go back and I'd done 6 years of study to become a chartered accountant. I didn't want to go back and do like a sports science degree or a double degree with nutrition or something like that. So I looked for what was the shortest path for me to get there, and it was a Cert 3 and 4 in fitness at the time. So I did that in 2007, and me being the accountant, left brain thinker, plan everything out. So 2007, my plan was by 2013, I'm going to leave corporate and do that. By the time 2009 came around, I'm like, I got to do it now. And so a bit of a life change at home, and I decided to pull the pin. So I've been doing it full time. It was all in. I resigned from the Institute of Chartered Accountants. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to fall back on that. So many people said to me, oh, when it doesn't work, you can always come back. It's like, yeah, thanks for your support. And so I've been doing it for 15 years ever since. I do love it. It's a 36-year journey for myself. And just every day, it's like, one of my corporate jobs, for instance, we saved the client $225 million but that doesn't give me anywhere near as much joy as having an impact on changing someone's life, changing their body, changing their health, changing their self-belief, their self-confidence. That's what I really love doing. So that's what brings me to here today.
Amazing story, and very similar to my story. So I could relate to your journey through corporate and rising the ladder, and then thinking, I don't mind this, but it's not totally fulfilling. And I did the about turn that you did.
I didn't want to get to my deathbed and say, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had done that. And look, anyone that goes into business, it's so hard. Like if I knew what I knew now, I possibly wouldn't do it again. But you don't know what pain and suffering and failure and all that is until you go through it. And it's like I knew it was hard. It's like, man, I didn't think it'd be this hard. But then, of course, you back yourself and you just keep pushing and know that on the other side of that is the growth. And if I look back now, just over that 15 years, or particularly the last 6 years for me, I've had so much personal growth in working with my coach. And because I don't think you can be a coach yourself if you don't get coaching, because what sort of example does that set for your clients? It's like, well, hang on, well, aren't you getting coached? Yeah, I get coached as well. And just the opportunities and the things that I've done now and have on the horizon are things that I could never conceive of sitting in corporate. Like I never would have dreamed that I could do the things that I'm doing now. And it's only happened by virtue of that continuous growth.
And it's worth way more than that 225 million. So I think that sums it up well in terms of what you shared there.
Yeah.
In terms of our little pre-discussion before this episode, you mentioned that a lot of clients are coming to you today for mental health concerns. So let's delve into mental health, what you're seeing a lot of, and how you go about helping these clients through their mental health concerns.
Yeah, so if I go back to 15 years ago when I first started, everybody that was coming in, it was like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. So I used to call myself a weight loss coach because that's what resonated with people. Every single person, apart from I had the odd athlete that just wanted to get stronger, but that was a very small percentage. Most would just wanted to lose weight. Fast forward to COVID. Since COVID, people coming in, obviously we here in Melbourne, lockdown more than any other city, so it impacted people much more deeply and impacted their mental health. I don't know, I think something like 300 plus days, over 6 lockdowns. It was just horrible for kids and for adults. And post-COVID, people were coming in to me saying, well, I want to improve my health. I want to improve my energy, and it would be good to lose some weight. So it was never number one. And even to this day, we're 4 years down the track since COVID started, and people are still not saying that they want to lose weight first. It's those other things. And then as I start to work with people and you kind of unravel what has been going on for them, so many people have taken a hit for their mental health. And I think it's compounded by a lot of things. But there's a huge hangover from COVID. I did I think it's going to be released in July, August. Channel 9 did a docu-series, which I'm part of, and it's about the impact of COVID on kids 4 years later. And obviously with my daughter and her story, they're noticing that there's such a massive impact still on people from that hangover of COVID. And you think about, like, the world has changed forever. I don't know anyone of my clients that say work corporately now or work in the city, which is like about 70 kilometers from where I am here. So it's about an hour's trip for them. I don't know anyone that works full time in the city anymore. They're a minimum of 2 to 3 days at home. And so that can be good for some people, but then it becomes isolating for other people as well. And then that manifests those conversations that people are having in their head. So in terms of how I help people do that, I mean, that you and I know, and I'm sure a chunk of your audience knows too, you go and do a strength workout, and what do? You just naturally get this dopamine hit. You get this endorphin release, even if you do it badly. Now, I'm not saying like doing it badly as in injure yourself, but you could do, say, bicep curls, and rather than doing them, with nice form, you're doing them really fast. Even if you do them badly, you will still get that endorphin release. And by the time you finish and leave, you'll be like, wow, I feel really good because I've done something for myself. Going out for a walk can be similar. Personally, I don't find it gives you the same sort of dopamine release than a strength workout will, but it's still good for your mental health. And so what I do is I'm really taking people from various stages, from a very poor base, potentially, that they're really not moving much at all, poor nutritional habits, maybe having, 2 takeout meals a day, like buying lunch and having a takeout meal for dinner kind of thing. That just becomes common, or Uber Eats. They're not even bothering to go and pick it up now. So trying to flood their body with a bit more nutrition, trying to get them to flush out all the toxins by drinking more water, getting them to move a little bit more. And really, like with the meal plans I do for people, if they follow them for, say, 3 days, they usually feel better. They feel less bloated, they feel cleaner, they feel more energized. And it's about building on that momentum. So people can be down here, but then we get them to just take that little step forward. And so where I guess it comes in from a coaching perspective, I look at, say, you, Anthony, and I say, well, okay, what do you think, how long have you been in the state that you've been in? What do you think are your biggest challenges? Why do you think I can help you? How committed are you? And some people are like, well, yeah, I can do a bit, but I can't do everything. They'll say, okay, here's the box, with everything in it, bang, go do it. I say, okay, well, if you've been only eating, say, 2-3 times a day and you're not eating really well, I say to people, look, I'd like to get you to eat to 5 to 6 times a day, with like 3 main meals with some snacks. Do you think you could manage getting in some 2 more nutritionally dense meals? And here they are. And they say, yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, well, let's just focus on that for this next week. And let's see how you feel by week 2 to see, can you do more? Are we sticking with that? At least I know whatever we do, it's going to be better than what it is that they were doing. And then I've got those people that say, just give it all to me and I'll do it. And they're just like, bang, they get it, right from the get-go, because they're so sick and tired of being sick and tired that they just do it. So I think it's, and this is why, and you would see it yourself in being a coach, it's that tailored approach to each person to understand, like, I have different things going on in my day. You have different things going on in your day. So do the listeners. So every client that comes in, they're going to have different mental health stresses, their background, their upbringing, the children have got ASD or ADHD or a combination of those things, eating disorders. The partner's got problems. They've got their own stuff. It's complicated. Life is really tough. And I think where I see it, like 66% of my clients are women, and women are far better than men. Sorry, men, but women just take on so much more than men do. And if the parenting of kids was left up to men, we'd be screwed. The kids would be screwed anyway. But what the cost that has on women is they sacrifice their health and their priorities for the children and the partner, and then whatever's left over, they try and give back to themselves. So I really enjoy working with my women to empower them to stand up for themselves and make those changes. And then, they start to improve their physical health and their mental health as well. So it's no 2 cases are the same, but the approach is kind of the same. Like, we use the same elements. It's just what pace can we implement them at?
So, yeah, what I take, it's very personalized to the individual in terms of what they're coming for and what they want you to work with them on. In terms of that person that's wanting to get healthier or improve their mental health and is sort of just sitting there a bit stuck and just doesn't know how to get started, what would you say to them?
The biggest thing that I see that people fail, you probably all know somebody that joined the gym at the start of the year. Well, here in Australia anyway, it's in summertime, and they probably go for about 4 to 6 weeks. Then it drops off by week 7, week 8, by week 9 to 12. It's just the direct debit's the only thing that's getting the workout, and they're not anymore. The reason for that is that most people don't have a very strong definition of what their health is. What that should mean to them. So the task that I give people is to say, well, what does health really mean to you? Like, what's your definition of health? And I would say that the shorter your definition, the more likely you are to fail. So in other words, if you say, well, I just want to be happy and look good, sorry, that you're going to be one of those people that runs out of energy. I say that is like, and some people say, oh, I need motivation and so forth. It's not motivation. Like those things are just like sunscreen. So as soon as you jump in the shower, what happens? It washes off. And that's what happens with this stuff too. But if you define what health means to you, and I'll give you a couple of hints as to how I do it for myself, but I have 42 reasons as to what health means to me and why I do it. And it changes as we get. So I'm about to turn 56 in August. I've been training for 36 years. I don't train the same way as I did when I first started. The body, the joints and stuff, with the number of repetitions that I've done on certain things, the shoulders and the knees and stuff can wear out. So I can't do certain exercises anymore. So I find other ones that I can do that don't cause me any pain. So as I've gotten, when I started, it was aesthetics. I'll be blunt. I was 20. I was a small kid. I weighed like 48 kilos. I wanted to put on muscle. I'm short. I'm like 5'5", 165 centimeters. I was bullied. I was pushed around and made fun of. And so I wanted to get bigger muscle. Now, what's important for me is, yes, I still want to look good. I say I want to look good naked, even if it's just for me because I'm single. But yeah, that's something that drives me. And then it's around, I want to be healthy. And when I say healthy, think about any test that a doctor could do, whether it's a scan, blood test, anything. Think about that side of health. And then the other side of health for me is energy. Okay, yes, they can do some VO2 maxes and all that kind of stuff for your, your lung capacity and stuff. But just think of energy in terms of how you would rate your energy. And then I also think about focus as well, which is an unusual one. But I think if you've got good health, you've got a good level of energy and a good level of focus, guess what? All of a sudden, you're now being able to do more of everything. The other thing that's important for me is being pain-free as well. So they're things that I never would have thought about when I first started, right? So they're important to me. And then when you come up with that definition of what it looks like for you, I don't want to have my body restrict me from doing anything. If I want to do something, I want to be able to go and do it. So that means I need to do my strength work. I don't do excessive workouts. I do 3 strength sessions a week, 30 to 45 minutes. I just do walking. I don't run. I don't do HIIT train. I hate that sort of stuff. So I do what I love, which is just to get out for a walk. I aim for about 10,000 steps a day. I'm drinking about 3 liters of water. I take some supplements. I eat a lot of plant-based food. I'm not vegan or vegetarian. I eat meat as well, but making sure I get a lot of fiber into my diet as well. And I find that provides me with a really good foundation for what it is that I want to achieve in life. And then my why, those 42 reasons. Now you could think of maybe three to 5. I want to have energy. I want to look good. I want to be strong. And then you may be stuck by 5. You've got to write them down because one will lead to the next, to the next, to the next. And I say your why makes you cry. So for me, when I wrote it down for the first time, I was uncovering things that I'd never thought of before. And you've got to tap into your past, tap into your genetics. I don't have very good genetics in my family tree. And that drives me to double down on my own health, particularly as I get older, because there's dementia on both sides of my family. There's cancer, there's heart disease, there's stroke. There's a lot of precursors for me living a short life. My mum passed away at 66 from cancer. I'm very much like her. And my dad passed away at 77 from Alzheimer's. And I just don't want to be that way. So those things also drive me. I lost my daughter last year, and that I forced myself to create 10 more reasons as to why her legacy was going to make me focus more on my health rather than give up. So it's easy to give up. But I've got another daughter that needs me. And so I need to be extra focused on my health. So all of a sudden, you start to build this, not like, oh, yeah, I've got this reason why I'm going to do it. I've now got this big pile of reasons why I'm going to do it. And you'll know when you get there because you will never, ever stop. It's like saying, you know what, I'm going to live a healthy lifestyle for the next 12 weeks and then I'm going to stop. And that sounds stupid when you say it like that. But so many people focusing on the gym or whatever for that period of time, and then they just stop and they just go back to doing whatever they were doing before. We need to do, I don't care who you are, you've got to do strength training for the rest of your life. This is my personal view. You've got to stay active. You've got to keep flooding your body with nutrients for the rest of your life if you want to be healthy. And another thing that drives me is being in the top 1% of health for my age, okay? Because that changes all the time, and that gives you something to drive towards. And don't be guided by what you see out in public, because we know that around 70% of our population here is overweight or obese. And so if you're going to fit into them, you're not going to be healthy. So you've got to find a new group of healthy friends to hang around with. You've got to aim for something that perhaps you are not at right now, but you create so many reasons for yourself that you just can't stop. Like, we could talk for an hour about all my reasons why. That's why I say, if you say, oh, yeah, I just want to be healthy and happy, well, sorry, it's not deep enough. You got to dig.
I love it, Rob. I love the fact that you have this mantra, your why makes you cry. And those are tears of inspiration, tears of, joy from within, and that total fulfillment that drives you towards what you're seeking. And in this case, it's health. And it's amazing that you have that insight around, finding all those reasons why you do health, and hence why you have no trouble with motivation. You're just driven from within, and you have no trouble maintaining it because there's so many reasons why.
That's right. And I didn't come up with it all in one go. So that's the thing. I've had a number of different goes at it, because you'll just keep adding to it and modifying. But I think you'll know, I say to people, you'll know when you get there, because if you get to the end of your list and you say, yeah, I still think I could stop, you're not there yet. Keep going, walk away, come back, do it another time.
Amazing. I haven't heard this from anyone I've interviewed, so very insightful. And I'm sure the listeners are thinking, this is why I'm not achieving my New Year's resolutions, because they're surface. I just want to get healthy to look better. And as you said, it's like sun cream. It just washes off. It doesn't last.
You've got to think deeper than the aesthetics. The aesthetics is important, because I know if my aesthetics are right, because I've connected with all those other things, I know I'm getting all those other things right. I'm training, I'm walking, I'm eating well, I'm supplementing, I'm sleeping, I'm drinking my water. I know that that's the byproduct of doing those actions, and that's the key thing. I think, of course, we're living in a time where we're looking more and more for those shortcuts. We're looking more for, like, even if we had a pill that existed to say, okay, program in what it is that you want, and say, bang, oh, there it is. And we can do that with filters now. That just creates another problem, because then it's going to create a problem with your mindset, because it doesn't change anything. It just changes the way that you look. And then you know that, it's not real, because I didn't do the work. And that's what I love about what I do, is because in order to achieve a change, you have to work. And it is hard and it is consistent, but that's like success in business and success in any area of your life. It's just that most people aren't prepared to do the work. They want the result, but they're not prepared to do the work that's required to get to the result. And that's what defines the difference between success and failure in my mind.
Absolutely. The work's got to be put in to change things. Otherwise, nothing changes. Just in terms of, once you've established that strong why with the client and they're thinking, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go. What's that next step from there? Like, because, you read about these books about just the one thing and focus on just the one thing. Do you take a similar approach in terms of behavioral change, about, focus on the one thing that's going to give them the biggest results, to then make them feel like they're making progress and to keep going?
Well, what I like to do is focus on the foundational things. So once we've established that, the next thing that I move to straight away is their food. Before we do any exercise, it's the food. Because most people know that, well, I shouldn't be having that fast food multiple times a week, and I should be eating more of something else. But in terms of getting that balance right, because I do strength training with all my clients, it's like, well, they have no idea where really what protein is, most people, or where it comes from, and what are the best sources, how much should I be consuming, how often should I be consuming it, et cetera, et cetera. So I really want to get those foundations right, because I know that if we're feeding their brain, a lot of people are just feeding their brain with sugar and fats, really. So if we can get that right, we know they're going to start to feel better, feel less bloated. They're going to feel more focused as well. And then we can start to move forward with their other things. So the order I normally work with people, once we've done that, we do food. I then do a fitness assessment with people, and people can just do these themselves at home. But what we want to do is we really want to know. It's like the stick in the ground. Where are you right now? And what I do, I measure people with like a dressmaker's fabric tape measure. I weigh people. I do the photos. We do some strength testing. We do a cardio test as well and a flexibility test. And then every 4 to 6 weeks, I measure their progress against that, because unfortunately for most people, they just determine their success based on what goes on the scales. And that's only one element. And for some people, I don't weigh them at all because it's a trigger for poor behavior. So we don't worry about that. And then the next session, we get into their actual structured training. So it is a bit of a tailored approach as to how quickly we would do those things. But normally in a week, I would do all of those things. Most people I program to do 3 days of training a week. If they're an athlete, and whether they're in season or off season will determine whether it's 2 sessions a week or not. And it's just about the consistency and the accountability to get people to keep stick with the program. And it's not changing it fundamentally all the time. I mean, success in some ways is boring. I often get accused of being a boring person because I am very rigid and structured in what I do, because it brings results. And I guarantee you, if you follow any of the best athletes on the planet, whether it be like your Tom Brady, your Messi, your Rafael Nadal, or any of those, Djokovic, they will all have a boring routine. And this is the time I go to bed. This is the time I get up. This is what I eat. This is when I do this training. This is when I see my fitness coach. This is when I see my nutritionist. This is when I see my sports psychologist. This is when I play a game. This is when I warm up. This is, it's all very, very specific.
Doing the reps of success, like just
that's right.
Yeah. And in terms of the listeners, probably very inspired about how you work with your clients, and probably thinking I could do with a little help from Rob. How can they best connect with you, Rob?
I suppose there's a couple of ways. I have a book which is called Awaken the Sexy Within. That's available wherever you go online to get your books. If somebody wants to connect with me, I'm on all. You can see my name on the screen there. It's Rob with 2 B's. Any social media platform, I'm on them all. Or if I provide everybody a free consultation, I work with people around the world, so it doesn't matter where. The easiest way is to go to Studios. I'll spell it STUDIOZPT, as in personal training, .com.au, and you can opt in for a free consultation there. I've got a couple of podcasts as well that people can see on my social media. They can opt in for that same consultation there. I'd love being able to help people out, even if it's just a free conversation to, give somebody some aspiration to and some guidance to be that better version of themselves. That's what I love to do.
And you've certainly done that on this episode, Rob, in terms of explaining, the 42 or some of the 42 reasons why you do health, and the listeners are thinking, well, geez, I better start with my list and start, working on that.
Start with that small thing. If you're not moving much, just start tracking your steps. Carry your phone. Every phone has a blooming step counter in it these days, and just look to improve a little bit. That and water is normally that water and plant-based food. Just focus on making some improvements in those, and you'll feel better.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. And to the listeners, all those links and links to the book and links to social media to connect with Rob, I'll include them in the show notes. So just go to the show notes and click on the link that's most appropriate for you, and take up the free offer from Rob. Have a chat with him, and I'm sure he'll leave you with some inspiration. So thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the show.
No worries, Anthony. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Take care.
Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited operating under the brand me&my Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. me&my Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, me&my Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of me&my Health Up.